Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, Numbers with Nora. This is math learning channel where you can ask any kind of math questions and get help on any kind of math homework or anything like that. So for this video, I'm going to be doing all of AP Calculus logarithm practice and review. All right. And the source where I'm getting this from, I'll put like a link for where you can sit there and do lots of different practice tests and stuff like that on different kind of calculus areas. All right, so first, before we get into logarithms, just a quick review of our rules when we deal with logarithms. We have our product rule, quotient rule, okay? And it's always good to have these like pasted in a notebook or something or next to you while you practice so you can get them stuck in your head. So the quotient rule is basically when you have two logarithms being subtracted, that means you can divide them. When you have two logarithms being added, that means you can multiply your inside parts of your logarithm. Also, our power rule right here. In this case, you can sit there and rewrite your logarithms like this. I always like to think of it like you're taking this n or the exponent and putting it in front of your log. All right, because we're allowed to do that. And then the rest just comes along with. Log 1, remember, if you have anything with a 1 in your parentheses, it's going to be equal to 0, all right? And this is any base rise to the 0 power equals 1, all right? Because if we rewrote this, which we'll do some examples, then it would be, you would see it would be log of 1 equals, a log of 1 equals 0. Okay, log of the base, log b to b is just going to be equal to 1 if you have your base. And then also what's in the side of your logarithm, that's going to be equal to 1. Change of base formula as well. You're able to sit there and write what's inside of your logarithm and then your base as a quotient. And then the inverse property right here, which we'll use in one of our problems as well. All right, so it's cool if you guys sit there and copy and paste, take a screenshot or whatever, and copy and paste these rules so you have them when you're studying. It's helpful to get them, remember them, and they stick in your head for a test. All right, so let's do the first question. This one is, which of the following is a simplification for log 3x plus log x? All right, sorry, I'm going to have to switch screens. I'm going to sit there and go to here. All right. All right, so for this one, it's not that bad. So we have to remember we're going to be using the power or the product rule, right? When we sit there and add both logarithms, we can write our insides like they're multiplied. So log, oops, sorry, log, and I'm just multiplying what's inside, 3x times x. All right, so then I get log. Combine this is just algebra, 3x times x is going to be 3x squared. Squared. Right? I believe that's going to be the answer for that one. So if I go ahead and look back, we have log 3x squared, and that's going to be the answer for that one. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the second one. Which of the following is a simplification of, so I have to copy and paste, log 7x plus log 3xy minus log 3x. Let me go back to my board. Get rid of all this stuff really quick. There we go. Go ahead and put this down. All right. So for this one, we're going to use the product rule and we're going to use the quotient rule, okay? Doesn't matter which one you go use first. I always like working from left to right. So let's do our product rule first, which is log 7x times 3xy. And then minus, and I'm just going to show all my work. Whenever you guys are doing a math test or a math quiz, Always make sure you show all your work and just take your time doing the problem. Right? Now with these, I can sit there and write, because now I can use my quotient rule, right? When I sit there and write it as a fraction. So I have 7x times 3x, y, and divided by, this is that quotient part where I had all those rules in the beginning of the video, 3x. Now I'm just going to simplify it down, okay? Using our algebra skills that we already know, since these are all being multiplied on top, I can go ahead and cancel out my 3x's. Then I'm just left with 7x, y. I can't simplify any more than that, so that's going to sit there and be my answer. And let's go and see if it's on there. We have log 7xy. Log 7xy, that is correct. That's going to be an answer for that one. Cool. Let's go on to the next one. If you guys have any questions on these, leave a comment below and I'll answer all of your questions. So for this one, let me just erase this. All right. Copy this again. All right, which of the following is equivalent to log to the base 2, log 2, and then all the way up to 2 to the 7th? Okay, one thing I'm going to notice is this is another property I have. I have my base, and then I have inside my parentheses right here. Those are the same, right? So what property is that? That's log. I'll write x, x. I'll put 2, just 2 right here. I'll put 7 because it's giving me a hard time. All that's going to equal is that exponent. It's going to equal 7. Okay? Or whatever that exponent would be, that's what it's going to equal. And I should put a just so it's hypothetical. All right, so when you have something like this, I'll put a, which is always going to equal what that exponent is. A. All right. So what we can do is deal with that inside first. So this inside portion right here, log base 2 to the 7, and using this property right here. The name of that property is on what I showed you in the beginning of this video. Oops, let me make sure it doesn't go out. Sorry. Okay. So 7. All right. And so now I know that all is going to equal to 7. So next thing I'm going to put is log 2, because I'm writing all the rest of this. And then 2. And then we already did this part up here. This log to base 2 to the 7, that's just going to be equal to the 7th. Okay. Great. And if you sit there and see, we do have that property again, log 2 base 2. So you can just use that property again, and we're going to get 7. That one's not that bad as long as you use your properties. Okay. So the answer to that one's going to be 7. Let me go back here. And it's 7. Okay. Going right along. And now let's do number 4. Go ahead and erase all these. Okay, make sure I have this. Mhm. All right, so for this one, which of the following is equal to log base 2, 3, and so on and so forth? First thing I'm going to notice is I can write these differently, right? I can sit there and use the change of base. All right, so change of base. And what change of base does is I'm able to sit there and write this log of 2, 3. If I use that change of base property, I'm able to write this as log 2 over log 3. And that's because that change of base, and that's in the beginning of my video where I show that. All right. Let me put my parentheses here. Now, if I sit there and write all these out like that, what I have, and sit there and see if I can get a pattern, then that would be great. So let's write them all out. This one is going to be log 3 over log 4. Right. And this one's going to be log 5, or sorry, 4 over log 5. And so on and so forth until you get to log 99 over log 100. So they call this like a telescope kind of thing. And you'll see this when you start dealing more in sequences with calculus. All right, so you'll sit there and see I'm able to sit there and cross these out. And it's like a pattern. I'll be able to keep on using that pattern. And so I'll be able to sit there and keep on going and using that pattern. But since I stop right here, the only thing left is log 2 and log 100, right? So I can sit there and write that down. Log 2 over log 100. But if I wanted to sit there and make this, write this differently, right? And use our change of base again, so I can write this, so it might be how we see it on our answers. I can go log 2 base 2, 100. Okay. Now, I think on our answer sheet, they don't have that. That is the correct answer, but they don't have it in that form. We're not going to go through that. That's not the right answer. So I believe we have to sit there and look another way to write it or simplify it even more. Okay. One thing, this is a little trick one. One thing I do notice is that I have something 100 right here, right? 10 squared equals 100. Okay. So if I wanted to change this around and make my base equal to 10, all right, because one way I can write this is x, okay? And I can sit there and I do this rule where that's my base, that goes as my exponent, and that goes of what is equal to. So I can write this as 2x equals 100. I can't really find it for base 2. All right, it's like that's really hard. I can't find 2 to the what power equals 100. I can't find that. But if I want to change my base to 10, then I can sit there and do that. If I change my base to 10, that sits there and means that I have 10 to the second power equals 100. Okay. So that's good. That means that this right here, since I changed my base from 2 to 10, I can do that. That means that my 2 would be my answer. So I can rewrite this as 2 over log 100. And all I did was change my base to 10. Okay, this part is a little bit trickier. If you have questions or want to see more problems like that to practice rewriting your bases, then let me know in the comments and I can explain more, do more practice problems with that. So this is your answer that they wanted, or this could be your answer if they didn't ask for it to be in the base change form. Okay. Right. Let's go on to the next one. This is kind of a hard one. I'm trying out this new board, guys, so bear with me. If you do have any good boards that you guys like to do when doing math online, write them in the comments. Let me know. Always looking to try out new stuff. Right. All right, so which of the following is equal to this? So let's go ahead and start simplifying this down. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use one of our properties where we have something in here that's to the power. We can always drop that power down in front, all right? And that's going to sit there and happen for all of these. And everything else stays the same once we drop that power out in front. So this will be 2 log z plus 2 log y plus 2 log x. Okay. Notice I have a coefficient of 2 for all these, so I can pull out my 2, right? Just like factoring out my 2. I get log z plus log y plus log x, all right? And that's just because I factored out my 2. They already gave us up here what that is equal to, so that's equal to 8. So now I'm just going to use substitution. So that's 2 times 8. All right. And so our answer is just going to be 2 times 8, which is 16. Okay. Very nice. Let's see if that's one of our answers. And yes, that's the answer for that one. Moving right along. 6. Let's go ahead and erase all this. All right, so this one we're going to deal with ln e, all right, to the power of something. So this is also another property. I don't think I have that property on my sheet, so I'll write that property down as we do this problem. So see that ln e? So there's a property that helps us out with that. So ln e to the power of anything, we'll write x. That's just going to sit there and give you that exponent x. That's what it's equal to. Okay, so I can rewrite this. I can put ln x. Let's just make that come along for the ride. Plus 4, because ln to the e, we could just write that 4, right? I think that's as far as we can go. This one is a pretty simple one. You just need to know that ln and e property. So ln x plus 4. So that one's going to be your answer. Okay. 7. Mhm. Okay. Which of the following is equivalent to this? So again, we're just sitting there and solving down. Oops, sorry. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, we're using our product rule, ln x plus ln x. I can just write that as ln, and we're multiplying both of our terms inside. I'm just showing you every step, right? Minus ln x squared. Now I can go ahead and use that quotient rule, which means I can sit there and divide these. So ln, my x times x is just x squared over x squared. Anything over itself is just going to be 1, so I get ln of 1. Remember, ln of 1, this was the property that I said in the beginning, log of 1, it's just going to be 0. So our answer is going to be 0 for this one. Okay. Which we got right there, 0. Awesome. All right, now let's do 8. Go ahead and erase all these. All right, so this one is pretty cool. I love these ones. So which of the following values of x satisfies the equation? So with these ones, I like that little trick that I do. I sit there and do like a little circle kind of. So I mean, I'm going to start with my x, which means that's going to become my new like main coefficient. Then this one right here, it's not doing the loop how I wanted to. This one right here, what is equal to, that's going to become my exponent. And then this one right here, that's going to become what it's equal to. All right, so I start with my x as my main. My circle then tells me that's going to be my exponent. And then it's going to be equal to 7. That's how I can rewrite this. And now I just solve for x using algebra. Using algebra, I can multiply both sides by 1/3 to sit there and get my x all by itself, or by the exponent 1/3. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other side, 1/3. Those cancel out when I sit there and distribute that through. So then I have x equals 7 to the 1/3. That's how I kind of like to think of my trick. And also that's in our properties too. Okay. Once you do more practice of it, you'll get the hang of it. So let's do another one. 9. Okay. All right. So this one, which of the following values of x satisfies the equation? All right. So again, I'm going to sit there and use that same rule that I did, right? I start with my base and then I make a circle or start my circle. That's going to be, so I start, that right here is going to be my new coefficient, right? And then when I loop it over here, what it's equal to, that's going to be my exponent. And then when I finish my little circle, I land on what it's going to be equal to. Okay. And now as I sat there and wrote it out like that, now all I have to do is solve for x. Okay. So solving for x, let's multiply both sides by 1/2. right? So when I multiply both sides by 1/2, I'll get x plus 4 equals 4 to the 1/2. Or you could have noticed that instead of doing 1/2, you can square root both sides to get rid of your square, right? 4 to the 1/2 is also square root. Okay, I'll rewrite that just in case. All right, equals square root of 4, which is 2, I know. And then we sit there and subtract that 4. So I have 2 minus 4. That's going to give me x equals -2. And I am done with that. Right? I believe that's one of our answers. -2. Yep. Awesome. Now let's do the last one. Okay. Erase all this. All right, so for this one, which of the following values of x satisfies the equation? So again, for this one, I'm going to do my same thing, right? Draw my kind of circle. So I have this 8, that's going to become my coefficient, raised to the power of 2, and then it's all going to be equal to this, okay? Equals x squared plus 16x plus 128. Okay. All right. And so now we just use algebra to solve. X squared is 60, or 8 squared is 64 equals, this comes along for the ride. Looks like we might have to do some factoring here, which is okay. Going back to our algebra days. All right. Let's subtract that 64 from both sides. Once I get that, this is equal to x squared plus 16x. And that's going to be plus 64. Now I want to factor this out. I want to think of two things that multiply together to get my c, which is 64, and then two things that at the same time add together to get 16. That's going to be 8, right? That's 8x plus 8 times x plus 8, or I can write that as squared. All right. Now I still have to just solve for x, okay? I multiply both sides by that, or I can square root both sides. Square root of 0 is 0. X plus 8. I minus 8 from both sides. I'm going to sit there and get x equals -8. And that should be our answer, which is -8. Awesome. All right, guys, that's the end of this video. I'm going to sit there and put a link as well to this AP Calculus help. They have a lot of exams that can help you out, and with a lot of other things like limits, derivatives, and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to do other videos on calculus subjects. And always, if you have any questions or homework help, take a picture of your homework, send it in, and I can sit there and make a video on it. Thank you.